I wonder if any of y'all have ever remembered a children's game that you may know where you had to match things. It was called memory, but it was also known as concentration. But did you also know that there was a game show that was under this particular name? Well, get ready because this is what I'm going to be talking about today on the wide world of game shows. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews presents Wide World of Game Shows. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm Joel, the Big D to you. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Back again with another episode of Wide World of Game Shows. Today's game I'm going to be talking about is probably a really challenging game that I know was really a fun one. But I will tell you, it's really a, a challenge for anybody to play. So if you're ready, get ready because you're about to see a game show where you had to pick two particular panels of a number, with a number, in the hopes of finding a prize, matching a prize in one of you, and the revealing part of a rebus puzzle. So now, without further ado, I bring to you Concentration. Concentration was a game show originally created by Jack Barry and Dan Enright. It premiered on NBC in 1958, which Jack Barry and Dan Enright Productions produced it first, and then NBC took over. It later would get picked up by Mark Goodson and Bill Todman Productions and would be back in the 70s and then again in the 80s under a different title. But I'll get to that in a little bit because I'm going to be talking about all versions of this game. Now, of course, Concentration is based on the children's memory game of the same name, but you also may know there's one called Memory. The show featured contestants matching prizes represented by spaces on a game board, which would then reveal portions of a rebus puzzle underneath for the contestants to solve. Now, as it originally premiered on NBC, it was produced at NBC Studios and had 15 seasons produced and aired from 1958 to 1973. Let's see here. Now, its hosts were, there were several for the original series, though, and what have you. Now, the first version had Jack Barry as host, while the second version had Hugh Downs hosting, and then later Bob Clay. And for a 6-month period in 1969, Ed McMahon hosted the series. Anyway, it continued on, and then, of course, it came back in 1973 to 1978 and was hosted by Jack Nars and aired in syndication. And then, of course, got another game, but I'll tell you about. But again, I'll tell you about that in a little bit because I told you I'm going to be talking about all versions of this. Concentration was one of the longest-running game shows on NBC and held the record until the CBS daytime version of The Price is Right surpassed it. It's currently the 5th longest-running show for daytime or syndication behind The Price is Right, as well as the current syndicated versions of Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and Family Feud. Anyway, it was an NBC in-house production, apart from the earliest episodes as a result of the 1950s quiz scandals. The network purchased the rights to the show and 3 other games from Barry and Enright. Now, NBC and Universal still holds exclusive rights to both the format and extant episodes of this. However, due to financial interest and syndication rules, this version is owned by CBS Media Ventures. Now then. Let's see, I'm trying to... Oh, yes. There was also numerous things you could check as well. But anyway, just trying to match two cards with a prize or what have you would be, well, sometimes they might be good, sometimes they might be a little odd. Anyway, for the rules, two contestants, one usually a returning champion, sat before a board of 30 numbered squares. Each square was composed of a trilon that concealed a piece of the rebus, and either the name of a prize or a special square. One at a time, the contestants called out two numbers. If the prizes or special action didn't match, the opponent took a turn. However, the contestant did match, whatever prize was printed on the card was placed on a board behind the contestant, or he or she could perform an action. The second number had to be called out within a certain time limit, otherwise, the contestant's turn ended. It was also permissible to pass on one's turn. This usually happened during the course of a game. If a contestant called out a prize card that had been orphaned as a result of a wild card match, which we'll get to in a little bit. More importantly, a match also revealed two pieces of the rebus, which identify a person, place, child, thing, or I don't know, what have you. The contestant could try to solve it by making one guess or choose two more numbers. There was no penalty for a wrong guess, even if he or she was wrong, he or she kept control. So usually a contestant waited to solve the puzzle until he or she had exposed a good portion of the rebus through several matches. In rare instances, the puzzle was solved with only a few clues showing. Anyway, also included were two or three joke or gag prizes, such as a banana peel or a tattered sock. Over the years, the gag prizes include some creatively bad puns and wordplay. These actually served as protection against matching the forfeit cards upon which your he might stumble. Now, there's special cards here. The wild card provided an automatic match. In the original game, this left the natural match orphan, only able to be matched by the other wild card, of which there were only two on the board. If the contestant matched the same prize to both wild cards, a check mark was placed next to the prize on the contestant's board, and that contestant would win two of that prize if they solved the puzzle. Contestants uncovering both wild cards simultaneously also won a bonus that was theirs to keep regardless of the game's outcome. Originally, this was $500, but late in the run was changed to a new card. It was also a take one gift. It appeared on two cards. If a contestant matched them, he or she could take his or her pick of any of the prizes on the opponent's prize board. Of course, the game had to be won to receive all of the prizes. Then there was forfeit one gift. Appeared on six cards in each game. Any contestants who matched two of them had to forfeit one prize to their opponent. And a bonus number. It appeared on four cards in many games. If a contestant matched two of these cards and chose two numbers on a later turn that did not match, they were allowed to choose a third number. Now, this was only used in the syndicated 70s version, which was hosted by Jack Nars, who most people remember him from hosting the syndicated version of Beat the Clock, which that will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and also the following year after his version of Concentration premiered, he would host the underrated game show Now You See It. Now, by solving the puzzle, the contestant solved it. He or she won all their accumulated prizes. If there was no legitimate prizes in the rack, he or she was awarded $100. The loser forfeited all of his or her gifts accumulated in that game, but still received token parting gifts as well as a copy of the show's home game. Yes, there was various home games of Concentration as well. There was no bonus round in the original version of the show. Occasionally, a game ended with only two prize cards left on the board, which, because of the wild cards, often did not match. In such instances, the unmatched cards were turned over to reveal the entire puzzle, and the contestant who made the last match was allowed one guess to try to solve it. And what have you. Anyway, occasionally a game could not be completed due to time constraints. A sequential two-tone sound resembling a doorbell would be heard signaling time was up, and play was suspended. Play would resume at the start of the following episode. Anyway, now champions continued until they were defeated or had won 20 games. Anyway, now the NBC version had numerous things and what have you of special features. The envelope and its mysterious contents, which could contain anything, an expensive prize such as a large amount of cash or a new car. The cash wheel will, the contestants spun a carnival wheel containing various dollar amounts with a top prize of $2,000, and there's lots of others. I've only seen bits of the early NBC version though. But anyway, well, after a 15-year run and then facing stiff competition from the new Price is Right, which premiered in the show's final season, NBC ended the show. But however, 5 months later, NBC called upon Mark Goodson and Bill Todman to produce a new edition for syndication. And of course, this was the first time they were asked to produce a format owned by another production company. Each of their previous productions were conceived by people on their own staff. Anyway, the syndicated version ran for 5 years with Jack Norris as the host and Johnny Olson, who was currently the announcer for The Price is Right and Match Game, which came on CBS that same year, was the announcer. Now, two new contestants competed each day with no returning champions, and games did not straddle episodes as on the network version. For the first 2 years, the game was basic game was identical to the NBC version with the addition of 4 head starts that revealed half of the locations of 4 prizes on the board. In addition, the gag prizes disappeared and only one pair of forfeit 1 gift cards remained. 3 pairs of take 1 gift were hidden on the board. Concentration's new board had become very colorful. 30 numbers, now larger, were in red with yellow backgrounds and red frames. Mechanical trilons turned a little faster than the NBC version. So anyway, the rebus was in full color on a sky blue background. Let's see. Now, the first player to solve the rebus puzzle would go on to the double play bonus round. If there were no more matching pairs left on the board, or if time was running short, the remaining boxes were turned over and the complete rebus revealed. The first player to buzz in with the correct solution won the game. If neither player solved the rebus, the double play round was not played for that particular game. And then there were numerous other things that came up. I've only seen maybe just a little bit of the syndicated concentration. It was formerly on the Buzzer Network. Now, the double play round was the first bonus round played on concentration. It was played twice per episode, usually. The winner of each game was tasked with solving 2 rebuses within a 10-second time limit. After the audience and the viewers were shown the solution to the first rebus, the puzzle was shown to the contestant. If they solved it, they won $100 and the clock stopped while the second rebus was set in place. The process then repeated itself with the contestant needing to solve the second rebus before it hit 0. Doing so won a prize, which for the first 4 seasons was a new car. For the final season, a 9 square board was used to determine the contestant's potential prize or prizes. The car, along with 3 other prize packages, and so many others. The 9th space on the board concealed a wild card, which automatically matched any revealed prizes chosen before it. This allowed the contestant to play for more than one prize if there was more than one displayed on the board when the card came up. So anyway, yeah, really something. After that, it ended in 1978. But anyway, I have seen the syndicated version. You can probably find full episodes of it on YouTube. So that might be worth looking into. Now, the first version of Concentration ran for 3,770 episodes, while the syndicate version had 975 episodes. Now I'll show you the next game. In 1987, Concentration was back under the title Classic Concentration, which premiered on NBC, who aired the original series. Now, Classic Concentration was the game that got me introduced to the Concentration franchise. Now, in January of that year, Mr. Goodson sought permission from NBC to relaunch the series. It became known as Classic Concentration. It debuted on the Peacock network in May of '87. Production was now done at NBC Studios in Burbank. The host of the game was Alex Trebek, who, of course, was currently hosting Jeopardy at the time. Now, like a few other games, most notably like The Price is Right or Wheel of Fortune or even Let's Make a Deal, the show actually had a prize model. Originally, it was Diana Taylor who was with the show for its first 2.5 months. But then she left, and I vaguely remember her because I didn't get to see the show until later on. And then later on, Goodson's daughter Marjorie took over for the rest of the series run. Now, so anyway, yeah, and Marjorie actually got married to one of the people who worked on the show, as a matter of fact. Gene Wood was the announcer. Of course, he would be back to being the announcer for Family Feud. Art James substituted him for several weeks in '91. And this show became so big, it ran for 4 seasons, big time, running for 1,020 episodes, ending in 1991. But however, it continued in reruns until 1993. Now, this version featured a computer-generated game board with contestants viewing on a large-screen TV placed off stage. The number of squares on the board was reduced from 30 in the previous versions to 25. Each game used one to three wild cards. Choosing 2 of those in one turn credits the contestant $500, and if the third was chosen in the same turn, then it would be doubled to $1,000. They also had various number of weeks and what have you. Maybe a Halloween week or a Christmas week, Twins week, or I don't know, what have you. Now, in the earliest episodes, there was no Take One gift card on the board. But on November 4th, 1987, 2 green take squares were added. Upon matching these, a contestant received a card that could be used to steal one prize from the opponent's column. And then in February of the following year, 2 red take squares were put into play. In order to claim a take, a contestant now had to match 2 squares of the same color. Unlike in previous versions, a contestant did not have to use a card immediately after claiming it, but could wait and steal a desired prize after making a match at any later time during the round. However, unused cards did not carry over from round to round. So anyway, yeah. Now, in the event time ran short during a game, any remaining prizes, wild cards, and take cards were taken out of play, and the puzzle was revealed 1 square at a time in numerical order. The first contestant to buzz in with a correct solution won the game. If incorrect, the contestant was locked down. The rest of the puzzle was revealed for the opponent to receive a free guess. If both contestants were incorrect or offered no guess, either of them could buzz in after Trebek began describing the puzzle, giving clues to the solution or the puzzle until one contestant guessed correctly. Now, after this, Trebek would show us what the rebus puzzle was and why it the answer was. Or later, I think this was first, I could be wrong, but and then the contestant, and sometimes the contestant would do it. After this, they would go to the bonus round. Now later on, they changed it to well, they did after one game and then play for another one. But however, in July of '88, they decided to do it with a best 2 out of 3 match, and they had to win 2 games to go into the bonus game, which of course was called the winner's circle. It was played for one of 8 cards that were displayed in the studio. Now you have 15 numbered panels, behind which 7 of the 8 cards had matching pairs. The eighth was always used as a decoy. Now the contestants had to complete this win a time limit, originally starting with 35 seconds. If they didn't make it through, no problem. 5 seconds would be added each time the round was not won. If a contestant made all 7 matches before time ran out, they won the last card match. Each time a card was won, the clock was reset to its original 35 seconds. In June of 1990, the format of the clock was changed so that new champions were given a base time of 35 seconds and were given an additional 5 seconds for each return to the bonus round until they won a new card. Now, early in the show's run, a contestant could win the game and play the bonus round up to 5 times before being retired. Beginning in December of '87, contestants were retired undefeated only after winning 1 card. From the premiere to June 1990, contestants could win up to 5 matches. Occasionally, 5 bonus card seconds was a prize appearing in the main game, and contestant who had matched this prize and solved the puzzle earned 5 additional seconds in their next attempt in the bonus round. Now, of course, they changed up so much; it's too many to mention. And for 2 years they had a tournament of champions round. Anyway, I really loved Classic Concentration. I was surprised to see Alex Trebek doing another game outside of Jeopardy. Now, but I've got to say, I really loved Marjorie Goodson as the mole. I feel I must warn you, though, she did have some kind of issues in what have you. Sometimes Alex likes to, well, speak out, and we get to see her at times. I mean, I saw this one blooper reel Buzzer had on their YouTube channel. It was featuring a compilation of bloopers from various game shows and what have you. Marjorie was showing off this refrigerator, and stuff came out and what have you. And boy, Marjorie's just like laughing hysterically, I think, and she just couldn't believe it. Yeah, Alex is like, Marjorie, that thing's for the kitchen, well, or something like that. But if you can find the clip, check it out. Again, after this, Classic Concentration ended in 1991, but however, it continued in reruns until 1993. Well, now, Milton Bradley released the first ever Concentration board game and released 24 editions until 1982. Now, Pressman published 2 editions of the Classic Concentration home game. There was also computer versions released by Softy for the MS-DOS systems and the Apple II and Commodore 64, which I remember I have played that version. And there was also a Nintendo Entertainment System game as well, which also was developed by Softy and published by GameTech. Tiger Electronics also marketed a handheld version of the game in 1999 using the NARS era theme and the 1960s to 1978 logo. I gotta tell you, there's lots of other things. Classic Concentration is still showing on the Buzzer Network to this day, because after it was dropped from NBC, none of the concentrations were ever seen again until Buzzer got the rights to them. So again, you can watch Classic Concentration on Buzzer. Check your local listings if you have that, or you can check out the Buzzer website and see when it's on. You can also find full episodes of the show on YouTube as well. So anyway, Concentration, I think it's a fun game. I've been hearing they're planning to do a brand new version of it, but I can't guarantee you just yet, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, that's gonna do it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, check out and what did you think of Concentration? Which versions have you seen? Have you seen the old school NBC version? Have you seen the syndicated version with Jack Norris, or have you seen classic Concentration with Alex Trebek? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And we'll have another episode of Wide World Game Shows coming up next week with To Tell the Truth, which Alex Trebek actually hosted during those last few months of Classic Concentration's run. So anyway, if you like this, check out these other Wide World Game Shows episodes. In the upper left-hand corner is the episode I did on the still long run Mark Goodson, Bill Tallman produced game, The Price is Right. The upper right hand corner is the episode I did on another Alex Trebek hosted game, that's Jeopardy! Which, of course, we know Trebek's no longer with us. He passed away a few years back. Rest in peace. Or if you would like, go to the bottom left hand corner and see the Wide World of Game Shows episode I did on Let's Make a Deal. And the bottom right hand corner is a button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as the Wide World of Game Shows, then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.